All right, so Kyle, we know who you are, but for the fans and listeners that might not know who you are, before we get into the voice acting aspect of your career, tell everybody, who was Kyle Hebert? Like, who was he before he became the man that we all know and love today?
Oh, well, let's see. I'm a big dork. Let's see. I'm a nerd. Let's see. I grew up shy and introverted. I played the drums in the marching band and regular drums too. Had a drum set that's now sitting in storage in Dallas, but that was fun. I used to, let's see, as a kid, I would play like I was a pretend DJ and record mock commercials and like I was my own radio station, because when I grew up I wanted to do two things. I wanted to be a DJ on the radio, and I wanted to do voice acting for cartoons. Ever since learning about Mel Blanc doing the classic Looney Tunes stuff. But yeah, man, I was a big metalhead. I got into like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and all that stuff in my teenage years, and that went through college as well. Then I discovered a lot of weird experimental electronica like Skinny Puppy, and then Nine Inch Nails came on the scene. I'm like, oh my god, this is cool. I like all this stuff. And I used to collect music scores to movies. I like movie soundtracks. That's something I still do today. I collect on vinyl too, so I get some of those fancy reissues or the originals if they're not too expensive. Like all that. I've been a movie buff also since I was a kid, so I have a nice collection of DVDs, mostly Blu-rays and 4Ks now. And some still sit in shrink wrap. I am guilty, as every collector is, of having things that just kind of sit there in the shrink wrap, but you got it though. It's there. In case of pandemic, break glass and
Yeah, I'm the same way with some of the stuff that I have, like the Chris Jericho DVD. I believe it's called Breaking the Wall.
Yeah, Break
Down the Wall. Like, I got it when it first came out, and then it got added to Netflix, and I was just like, I'm just going to keep it wrapped. Like, there's no point in opening it up. And, in case I ever do meet Chris Jericho one day, I can tell him the story and have him sign it for me.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I'm a professional wrestler, it's like I'm still a big fan. It's like, if you're not a fan of wrestling, then what's the point of doing it? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that's another aspect, too. I grew up as a wrestling fan, and then I kind of fell out of it. My interest went elsewhere, and it waned, and it came back in a few years ago with WrestleMania and seeing New Day dressed as Saiyans. It's like, what?
Came out the cereal box?
Yeah.
Bootios.
I had one of those too. That's right.
Have you met Xavier Woods?
I've talked to him. Oh, yeah, I did meet him. He came to an indie show that I was at, and he came up to me, and I didn't even recognize him. And he said, dude, it's an honor to meet you, man. Thank you. You're my childhood.
Huge nerd.
Totally. And he did invite me over Twitter about a year or two before that, saying, oh my god, the voice of Ryu, I should have you on my show and we should play. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then nothing happened. But he's a busy guy, so I get it. But yeah, I love seeing the wrestling crossover into video games and anime fandom and all that. And it's like, so I friended several AEW wrestlers, Sammy Guevara and Kip Sabian. I did his Twitch alerts for him, and it's like, oh man, this is cool.
Nice. Yeah, because I know on Sammy Guevara's vlog, it was when Marco Stunt was collecting the Dragon Balls to revive him. Was that the episode that you were on?
Yeah, I've been on several, but yeah, that was the last time. Last time, yeah. It was my idea to censor myself too. It's like, all right, I'll just self-censor. People will get what I'm saying. They'll still get it.
So, but it's kind of crazy how you said you grew up wanting to be a voice actor and
absolutely
kind of get to do it. So I guess one of my questions for you is, what age do you think it was or how deep in your career was it where like you found your voice as a voice actor and it just clicked for you, and now, you just, it happens in wrestling too, like magically you just get it one day after years of doing it. When was that for you, do you think?
I think it was probably during the first year, once I got used to the routine of the matching the lip flaps and this, that, and trying to let the fanboy calm down, because I was already a fan of Dragon Ball, and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting to do this professionally. This is literally my dream come true. And I guess I found my stride, but I never got complacent about it. Never said, okay, I've mastered this, because no one does. Even all the masters can still, everyone stands to learn something by keeping up with the trends and honing your skill. Just like an artist always draws, a writer writes, a voice act keeps their, whether they're absorbing as a sponge and researching, aka watching, all the different things of acting, and remembering the perspective that it's not about your voice, it's about your acting and your skills and bringing a character to life. And part of the mission now with social media and podcasting is getting the message out there to all the hopefuls, all the people out there who now, because I didn't have the internet growing up and all this, and now this is a nice advantage where you can get people and you can connect to people that you wouldn't otherwise, unless you pause the credits, if you're lucky enough to get them on broadcast, to actually see some names and then put a name to a face and all that. There's, it's a whole different era, and a good one. For all the negatives there are about social media and everything, there's some perks too. And keeping in touch with fans and all that has been a wonderful blessing over the years.
Well, Kyle, just want to introduce myself. I'm Rebel D. I'm their third man. I wanted to ask you, was there any particular cartoons that drew you as a child to wanting to do voice acting in particular?
Oh yeah, good old Bugs Bunny. The Looney Tunes, man, all the Looney Tunes. Learning about Mel Blanc, my dad told me that it's like, it's just one guy, and he did all these things, and he came from radio, as all the first TV stars did. They were all radio stars first, because we had radio dramas, and then you had TV, and then that moved to movies, and he's like, well, now the internet, YouTube and everything else. It's like, this is the new frontier. This is the new Hollywood, pretty much. And at first it's like, oh, it's such a niche thing. Oh, a YouTuber. Like, no. It actually deserves respect. And, the people with podcasts and vlogs and all that, they're drawing audiences that even network TV can't. And they're having to reinvent their business models and all that stuff. So, yeah. To spear off a tangent of that, it goes back to definitely watching the Looney Tunes in particular.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fellas, did y'all want to piggyback?
Well, if you don't mind me cutting in, Banks, because you bringing up Looney Tunes reminded me of the Animaniacs revival.
Yes.
That I knew that I obviously saw you are a fan of.
Oh, God, yeah.
I want to say D and Banks have not seen it yet.
Not yet.
Correct, yeah, okay, but I was a huge fan of it. When they first announced it, I was like, come on, it can't be. And it's just as good. It is as good.
It is that rare exception, reboots and this, that, and the other. And like, it's okay. And it's like, no, they still have it. Have it. And I understand everybody has their critics, and like, oh yes, the humor doesn't work anymore. It's like, no, calm down, come on, you don't be a stuffy grown up. Just be in touch with your inner kid, and the jokes that will still go over kids' heads and aim straight at today's generation of 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 40-somethings, in my case, 50-somethings. I'm 51. But, and I've gotten to audition for that show over the past 2 years while everyone's been patiently waiting. It's like, oh my God, if this would be another dream come true, if I could be in the same room with Rob Paulson and Jess Harnell and Tress MacNeille and Maurice LaMarche and all these cartoon legends, and and now we have, stay at home, but they still record cartoons this way, just everyone's at home. And
So the question that I was going to ask you was, because earlier you said that you were a fan of Dragon Ball. When the opportunity came up to audition for Dragon Ball Z, can you walk us through the process of how it went? Like, did you think that you were going to get the role, or did you think that it was going to be a bust?
I actually felt good. I was very zen about it. I felt like this is meant to be, not in an arrogant sort of way. It's like, I'm going to get this because I deserve it. It's like, no, it just feels right. I feel like, you know, things happen for a reason. And I heard about this audition opportunity through my radio station coworkers. And it's like, this is going to be cool. I'm going to be able to, I'm going to cross over. I'm going to continue to try. Like I tried to get an agent. I tried to work on a demo and all that stuff, and then the opportunity came. Just like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna be passionate about it because I've been passionate for so long, and you know, fingers crossed. And so when I go in, I see a little 3-ring binder in the lobby, and they say, all right, well, pick like half a dozen characters, whoever you think you're good for. And page 1 was adult Gohan, and it's like, I know who that is. I'm definitely going to read for that. And then I forget who else I read for, because I had not seen the series. I didn't watch it fan subbed or any of that. I've only seen some episodes that aired from the original Canadian English dub that aired in America before Cartoon Network and all that, and before the Ocean dub, and even before Funimation took over in Texas with the 3rd season. So you had reruns of the first 2 over and over again. And it's like, oh yeah. And I would imitate Piccolo, Scott McNeil, and Brian Drummond as Vegeta. Yeah. And the narrator. And then eventually I got the narrator too. It's like, that's crazy. But I started with bit part voices, like unnamed characters on the Bardock special, and then towards the end of the Cell Saga, right before Gohan shows up, and guess because that was my first gig, so they want to make sure that any new person coming in can not only act but, you know, take direction and match the lip sync and all that. And I guess I fooled them because, you know, long enough. I went into the audition wearing a really bad off-centered fan shirt of DBZ, and Goku's on there, and it looks like a crappy shirt, a crappy iron-on or something. And I remember Justin Cook, who was an engineer at the time, but then he moved up to directing Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff, and he was Raditz. And he goes, I'll admit, when we first saw you, we kind of wrote you off immediately. And I go, really? And I'm like, yeah, you were wearing a DBZ, you just look like a fanboy. And so that's when I learned, like, oh, I'm going to impress them. I wear a shirt and show them I'm a fan. Like, no, that was the wrong attitude to take. You know, it's like, this is a professional gig. We want professionals. If you're a fan, that's something you keep in your inside. We want to see professionals. So put on your game face and leave the fan at the door. And that's another thing that we've been communicating to people over the years. That it's like, just because you're a fan doesn't mean that you're meant to do this. I mean, there's a lot of things in play, you know, besides luck. Luck's a big factor, but having some raw talent and drive and doing what you can to hone your skills in whatever craft you're seeking at. That's kind of the key. And being passionate about it, I think, is also a good foundation too.
Yeah, especially with art.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
If you're
something that I wanted to kind of piggyback off of the same question, because you've been voicing Gohan now for almost 20 plus years now.
Yep, it's been a few days. Yeah.
So did you think that you were going to have the longevity to continue doing this character for all these years? Because I want to say it was when Dragon Ball Z Kai had came out, they had replaced a couple of the voice actors, and then with the revival of Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Super coming out, like, how do you feel about, you know, just the longevity of continuing to voice the same character for so many years and, you know, introducing him to new generations of fans?
Well, it's a blessing, of course, that anything has that sort of longevity. I had a feeling that the love and the passion, and even back then, before all the games and Super and Kai and all that, and all the movies and everything, I thought, okay, that's probably going to be strong enough. People are going to look back and remember this, and it made a huge pop culture impact and everything. I felt strong about it like that. This really made a dent. This is awesome. So it's even, it's icing on the cake to see it. It has been bubbling under the surface for a few years, and then every time you saw something new come out, fans would come out of the woodwork. So we were pumping out, even though we were done with the dub, we were pumping out. We finished GT, which okay, and then we came out with game after game after game, and they continue to have huge sales figures. So it's like, oh, they're still there. And then social media comes along, and you see the pulse of the people in real time. It's like, oh, this is great. This is amazing, and we're so blessed that we get to do that. And with Kai, for example, is this rare opportunity to revisit and redub, literally, to just okay. Time has passed all these years later, and the whole cast is more seasoned. We have more experience. And I feel we can give better performances now, even though a lot of people prefer for the nostalgic factor that the old Z. And I respect that, but I also think that, come on, give Kai a chance. We're better. We're better actors.
I think Kai's a better put together anime.
Ah, yes.
The original.
I hear you.
But me and Banks know quite a number of people who they do not like Kai. They don't even act like it exists.
Oh, well, we also did our due diligence to make sure that there was a script that was faithful to the translation, whereas the Z one was controversially not.
Right.
And it had all its haters back in the day. All these fan sites like Planet Namek and all these others that would just diss anything Funimation. And it's like, oh, this is terrible. It's like, I don't know, man. It's number one in the sales figures every month when they release a new DVD or a VHS back then. It's like, they're doing something right.
So
that's right.
That brings me to the question that me and Banks had a debate about.
Yeah.
What's the better score? The original Japanese score that Funimation has rolled with, or in my opinion, the infamous and wonderful Bruce Faulkner score that gets overlooked now and is completely forgotten about?
Well, I think that's another one bubbling under the surface that, the fans are coming out of the woodwork and say, man, the Faulkner score, back then, he got so much hate. And it's like the vocal minority was taking it over. It's like, we need the original score. It's like, we give them the original score, and then we give, the fans always find something like, I'm going to complain. All the complainers, not all the fans, but haters going to hate.
That's right.
I think Bruce really captured the sounds of what would be playing in these moments, in my opinion, versus the Japanese score, to me. But, yeah, I love that Bruce score more than anything. I mean, I literally listen to it all the time.
Mm-hmm. And even the original Ocean dub score with Rock the Dragon. Come on, that's a cool song.
Classic.
A lot of people don't really talk about the Ocean dub score. Real. Yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, I've never even went online before and was just like, let me listen to some of the Ocean dub music, because like Trav said, I do like both scores, but it's like certain scenes fit well with Bruce's score and then with the original Japanese score.
Mm-hmm. And I guess, from a culture perspective, it's faithful to leave the original score in, but, you could say, okay, it's dated, it sounds very old. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
It's like these old trumpets. It's like, this sounds like very, very old, even though the recording and the audio aspect of it is brought up to today's standards, and you got professional mixers and stuff to give it a really good immersive sound, once you have the DVD at home or the stream now, I guess. So yeah, it's been pretty wild to watch that through the years.
Now, Kyle, my second question that I had that I wanted to ask you, when you're doing script readings, I guess, do you guys ever do it as as like you would on a movie or in a play, like together, I guess, group readings?
We actually don't. We actually don't do that. We don't even really get the scripts ahead of time for the most part. There's a handful of, completely unknown shows that, I've been on dubs where, they might send the script ahead of time. And now they almost do, just because everyone has to record from home. But par for the course back then was you're a blank slate. You show up to the session and the director catches you up with some bullet points on what the episode's going to be about and what your character is doing in the scene. And it's not like you get to do a dry rehearsal or anything. So it's you gotta have good cold read skills and be able to see it, commit to a performance, do it, and then if the director does, tweak it, do it higher, lower, faster, slower, whatever. And cut, print, moving on.
Got it. Okay.
I
was kind of curious about the chemistry aspect of being a voice actor. If any of it was, if it was solo reads or if it was group. That's where I was going with it.
Oh yeah. With games and anime, you're definitely using the Japanese as the reference. And with anime, of course, the visual aspect of lip sync is there. And in video games, if we don't have the cutscenes or any of that, we just use the timing of the Japanese audio as a reference. But yeah, if it were a cartoon, then of course you record the audio first, then it's animated, and a couple of years later, literally, you can see the fruits of everyone's labor come together in a cohesive whole, and that's wonderful. And getting to do that sort of project, where you're in the room and everyone, that's where it's getting to do that was just like, oh my God, this is as amazing as I thought it would be and more. You get to play off each other's performance. You get to watch everyone else in their process. And you take a deep breath of relief as you watch them screw up as much as you.
Yeah. There you go.
It's like, oh, this is good. And from the technical aspect of matching lip sync and all that, it just doesn't make good sense. You can't, because you got time is money. You can't pay an actor to be there as they all sit waiting for one guy to match their lip sync and all that. There's not enough time to really do that. Even though in the Japanese, they dub their own stuff too. It's animated first and then they dub it. Culturally, if you notice when you watch Japanese anime in its original form, it doesn't always match lip sync. But
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yep.
The culture, it's not a big deal. Whereas over here, it's like everyone's really like, it takes you right out. Anyone who watches the old Bruce Lee movies or Godzilla dubs are just like, woo!
Yep, I actually have a collection of old school kung fu theater movies. I have a lot of those, so I know exactly what you're talking about as far as lip syncing.
Oh yeah.
So, gentlemen.
So the question that I have for you next is: earlier you said that you had auditioned for the Animaniacs cartoon. Now, with you being a legend in the game, are there times where there are projects that come out and the studios come directly to you because they have a character in mind that they want you to voice, or do you still have to go in and audition just like everybody else does?
Yeah, no matter where you are on the tree of the levels and everything, you still audition, because what gets you on the list, the list of the casting directors audition list, is not, oh my gosh, he was in so and so, or he's been doing this for 20 years. No, it's if you get your demo in the right hands. So it's kind of a networking and obviously some FaceTime and some shaking, kissing babies and all that stuff. It becomes, there's a little of that, but the networking part is important because you never know. There's a lot of fellow actors that now direct. Yep. So it's always good to stay humble and be nice, be polite, be professional, because even if there's someone that rubs you the wrong way or you just don't like them, don't be all in their face and cause a bunch of drama, because if they're in the position to hire you, you just cost yourself a gig. So it's very important to choose your words wisely, which you should anyway. But yeah, you never know who will suddenly, and there's people that are way younger than me that I've been directed by and everything, and if anything, my fingers are always crossed that today's generation that perhaps grew up watching things that I was on or whatnot will say, hey, I want to at least hear his audition because I grew up watching this guy. That would be great. But, I don't know how prevalent that is. I think what's really par for the course is getting the casting director to pay attention to you in terms of what is the quality of your work, not what you did. So even though a resume is a good thing in a normal job, it really doesn't matter in trying to get yourself out there, you know, and heard by as many people as possible. So getting an agent and networking, that's how you do it.
Got it.
So did anybody else have any more voice acting questions, or were y'all ready to move on?
No, of course I got, kind of a bigger one. But I think for, I love live action. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of TV shows that I do really love. I think for all three of us, we just love cartoons and animation so much because of the possibilities. Mm-hmm. They're endless. And I think there's a reason why when they try and make live action movies, they 9 times out of 10 fail. Based off the animation, because some things you just can't do, unless you're gonna dump $500 million into this episode. You just can't do the things that people can do with art. But a question that I had for you, because here recently, we've had Mike Henry step down from playing Cleveland, who is a white man voicing a black character. Kristen Bell stepped down from Apple Plus Central Park, which I don't know if anybody's seen, but it's really funny. It's a really funny show. With things like that, sometimes you get a little bit of an outcry from people wanting people to be exactly what the character is. Mm-hmm. Do you think that kind of is limiting to what a cartoon character can be versus maybe a person that matches that isn't specifically right for the role, and that character can be all that character can be when translating it on television?
I think, of course, you want, diversity and equality and all that. Of course you want that. But ultimately, it comes down to what the director or the client or the writers, producers, whatever they have envisioned. Who comes to the table and brings the best performance they can, to the character. If it's an alien, if it's something that, no human can really relate to, but it's animated, it's important to kind of, you don't want to cater to, social justice and all that. You don't want to come at it from that perspective. You really want to stay open. And I think it's more about giving everyone an opportunity to be heard in the audition process. And that's what a lot of my friends that are kind of behind this movement are trying to say. It's like, we're not trying to say that you should only cast us as this kind of character. It's like, just give us a fair shot.
Right.
The way that we haven't in the past. And, if we're not chosen, then fine. But at least we want to be heard. And, if we happen to match the vision, because if that opportunity's not there, then you don't know. And if there's any sort of bias going, well, we don't need to hear anyone else, we're just going to go with the people we're familiar with or whatnot. It's like, no, that's not fair either. The people that are trying to get into this industry, regardless of what their background is. And it's like, well, that's a tough nut to crack. I mean, even the cartoon thing in general is so hard to break into. And, I get why they do it for decades of the time, because it's so much fun and it's so rare. And if you can get that director to pay attention to you, or that casting person, and get on their list, it's like, of course it's not going to matter, what culture or what race or gender or any of that shouldn't come into play. It's like, this is an acting thing, so professionally, we want to know what you as an actor brings to the role. And there's some authenticity to things. It's like, we don't want someone who can just do the accent. We'll cast a real Brit, for example, or and then
Right,
and I respect that. I totally respect that.
Well, just to piggyback off of the Trav question, I think that it goes back to what Kyle was saying as far as bringing a certain amount of passion to a role. And sometimes when you're narrowing, your selection, or having people opt out, I think it's not giving 100% to the project in a way.
Yeah, it's like it's a noble cause that these folks step down, but again, I think that doesn't 100% ring true, because the whole cause is about equal representation in the audition side of it. It's like, hey, if you only have a couple of people reading for that, when you could have just as wide a net. If you brought more people in, again, diversity is important, absolutely, but ultimately it comes down to who is best for the character in the ears, in this case, of the creators and directors.
I mean, we had a woman voice Tommy Pickles our whole childhood. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And women are chosen to do little boy voices because you can get around child labor laws that way. And come on, let's be honest. It's easier to direct an adult, and the kids, they're amazingly talented and all that, but you have a limited time. The labor laws are there to protect them, of course, and if they're always in school, and you got production deadlines and all that. So, once in a while a project will call for authenticity. And like in the case of Full Metal Alchemist, we really did get, we really, I don't say we, because I'm not, we're all contract labor. We're not all employees. So it's like they in the upper management and the creation of all that, it's like, we want to go authentic. We want to have an actual kid for this role, and they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question that I have for you is, because something here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks, I want to say, like, on every episode, whenever we review something or we're talking about something, D already knows where I'm going with this.
Yes, I do, unfortunately.
I always try to see if there's a JoJo reference in something, and you were in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, and you voiced Kakoyin. So, do you love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or do you just like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or do you wish that you never did JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because of how crazy it is?
True. Okay, total disclaimer. Voice actors don't always see what they're in, so I have not seen any JoJo. But I do know that its fan base is hardcore. They're super dedicated. And, when I first heard about it, this was like in the 90s. I had a Dreamcast, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was a game on there. I thought it was a game series. And apparently it is in Japan. And it's very rarely would the games come to our shores. And, a few years ago, we did like a test episode of Stardust Crusaders and put it out, and Viz, got all these grave reviews from fans that were just rabid. Like, come on, Dom, do it. You did the first two, now do the third. And ever since then, it's showing that it's a rating smash, and the fans, so many fans represent at the cons and on social media. So there's something to be said for that, and without the fans, you wouldn't have the show really in the first place, and they've been holding it up.
Yeah, I think JoJo is today's Dragon Ball Z was for us.
I mean, I'm seeing that. I'm definitely seeing that.
Trav, that's a great way to look at it.
I just need these guys to get into it because it's like I've tried to get them several times to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. We even did an episode on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and they said it was quite a challenge for them to actually sit through it, especially part one. I mean, I hear that from a lot of people that part one is the hardest to get through. So that's why I always recommend part three to anybody that wants to start it. And Trav, what did you say about part three when you tried to start it?
No, was it part 3? No, it's just part 1 and 2. I saw part 3 and I said, why didn't you tell me to watch part 3?
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, I did tell you to watch part 3. I said there was way too many episodes. It should have been like 20 less episodes.
See, that's the daunting thing about shows with high episode numbers. That alone scare. Like, I will never start One Piece. It's just no, it's too far gone.
Yes, it is.
I'm the same way.
That's mine and D's show. I keep up with it.
Kyle, I've been collecting the manga of that since I was in, I believe, 9th grade or 8th grade. I have 96 volumes right now. Woo! Yeah, so it's kind of like my newspaper, basically.
I get that, and I think that's cool. I mean, yep. I definitely appreciate the rabid, the fans just salivating for anything new.
Yeah,
I get that.
Pretty interesting.
I get that. Yeah,
I always tell Banks, look, I never had to tell anybody to watch a certain saga in Dragon Ball Z. That's all I know. You could start it from the beginning and just watch it, and it's amazing content.
It's like I tell you with JoJo, it's like I feel like that because there's 5 parts that are out right now, so each part is different in its own way. I mean, like anybody would recommend you to start with the first part. It's kind of like with Star Wars, for example. It's just like, do you start with 4 through 6, or do you start with 1 through 3? You know what I'm saying?
It might depend on your age, because again, I'm the old one in the room here, so I go back to 77 Star Wars.
Yeah, same here.
That will always be my first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since we brought up Star Wars, we did a Christmas episode, and I finally just watched the holiday special. Did you ever watch that? Like, how did you feel about it?
Dude, I saw it when it aired in 78.
Hey, that's great. So how did you feel as a child watching it? Because I was watching it, and like, I couldn't sit through it.
As a child, it didn't really strike me as awful. I was just happy to see those characters on TV. And otherwise, it would be years later when Star Wars came onto cable TV. But it's like, I want to have this. And all we had, the closest thing was, in 78, I guess, Battlestar Galactica came on with a lot of the same effects crew. And it's like, all right, we're going to have space shows now. And like, all right, this is cool. I'm on board with that because I like Battlestar as a kid. And
same here.
But yeah, no. It didn't strike me as bad, but I was a kid and I would watch Speed Racer, and now I'm lucky if I can make 30 seconds into it. So
that's what she said.
Hey-o. Yeah, it's kind of rough to make it through the holiday special, and I haven't seen the Lego holiday special. It's on
really
Disney
good.
Plus.
That was really good.
Really good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel better. And while I liked Force Awakens a lot, and the other two not as much, The Mandalorian, that's Star Wars.
Yeah.
They get it. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and all that crew, and it's like they have nailed it. It's not just nostalgia. It is exciting, extremely well made. Television for a new audience. You can do long form storytelling that you'd say, all right, this can't fit in a 2-hour movie. You need to space this out and character build, world build, and everything.
I can't get my girls to sit through Star Wars, but we watch Mandalorian every Friday.
See, that's great.
That really shows you how good the show is.
The show can reach, and I felt this about Firefly back in the day. It's like you could watch the movie Serenity without having watched an episode of Firefly, and that's how you know it's good. So yeah, with Mandalorian, it's told as if, it's a first time person, but if you're a long time fan, those Easter eggs,
yeah,
everything is there to make you enjoy it all the more. So I can't imagine watching The Mandalorian for the first time, thinking how great it is, and then seeing all the Star Wars movies and then putting all of it together. It's like, whoa!
I definitely feel you on that, Kyle. Like I think it's a great way to bridge newer classes or younger people back to what we grew up with again to some degrees. Because I'm still a big fan of Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader back in the day, man. That's one of my favorite fight scenes. I doubt I could get my little people to watch it, maybe my son, but that was a fun fight to me, Where he tells Luke, yeah.
Oh, totally. And, there's all these moments that just give you chills when you watch them, no matter how many times you've seen it.
Exactly.
And like the last 5 minutes of Rogue One. I love the whole movie. But
Rogue One's so good.
That movie.
That whole ending, that, they kind of came up with that at the last minute because the studio wasn't really on board with the first cut, and it's like, let's do some reshoots, let's retweak this, and let's put this new ending on there. It's like, whoa, this is like, oh my god. And it's kind of funny how kind of stilted if you go back and watch Rogue One, then immediately A New Hope afterwards. It's like,
I literally just did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I watched them back to back.
I guess I need to. I've never watched them back to back.
Yeah,
okay,
it's awesome.
So there's a cartoon called Justice League Action, right? And there was an episode where Mark Hamill was up there as himself, and Mark Hamill, he voiced the Joker, the Trickster, and I believe he voices Swamp Thing on the cartoon as well. So the question I have for you is, if you could team up with 3 characters that you voiced to fight the ultimate bad guy, what 3 characters, who would they be?
Well, I definitely have Gohan on my side for sure.
Okay.
Let's see. I would bring Ryu, Street Fighter. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I got one more slot. Who do I give it to? Fat Gum. Why not? My hero.
Nice.
And we are avid My Hero fans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
With the kids too. I mean, my girls absolutely love My Hero.
Same here, man.
Oh, that's great. I've only outside of the episodes of Fat Gum that I actually did sit down and watch. I was so excited to be onto that. I've only actually seen all of season 1 and like the first third of season 2, and it's like I totally get why this show is huge.
Yeah, it's a show that gets better every season, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
I mean, it makes grown men cry. Yeah, that's how powerful the show is.
Yeah, Trav saw me cry when we went to go see what was it, Heroes Rising?
Heroes Rising.
Yeah.
And I was just up in the theater just screaming and shouting. Like I was acting, it's just like watching Dragon Ball Z when you're a kid. It's like, you're seeing people fight on the TV. It's just like, is Goku going to beat Frieza? And like that's the same vibe that I get whenever I watch My Hero Academia. It's just so many cool moments in the anime, especially when it transitions from the manga to the TV screen. But yeah, like I highly recommend it. Like we talk about it all the time, and I highly recommend JoJo's Bizarre Adventure too.
As an anime fan, it used to be it's such a niche thing. It's like, only a small thing, and now it's so mainstream. When you have anime movies or TV shows getting theatrical screenings, and you're in there, and every screening is packed, sold out, and the crowd is cheering there. It's like, this sort of electricity. You don't feel the same watching it at home, but it's nice to know that, I'm not alone. There's all these people there, and watching the Broly movie or any of that, it's like, come on, Gohan should have been in that. But other than that, seeing the people cheer and just like, woo, every character moment, it's like, this is so cool. The electricity in the air.
And we've talked about this with the epidemic that's going on with movie theaters being able to survive this. And of course, Warner Brothers now announcing that all their movies next year are going to go straight to HBO Max the day they come out in theaters.
Makes me happy, but yeah, I do miss going to see something in Max.
There's just something about the energy of a theater when you see something that's fan-based like that, a Star Wars, a King Kong, You said Dragon Ball Z. When you get people in there that has a fandom versus just like a regular random movie, there's just something special about that theater packed with all those fans and crying at moments, yelling at certain moments. You can't replace that at the house. You know what I mean? By yourself, you just can't.
And now that a lot of theater chains, have reserve seating, it's like it's gotten to a point where you don't even have to stand in line anymore. It's like just order your tickets online, pick your seats, and even pick your concessions, and just go and pick up and sit down and watch your movie. It's so convenient.
Oh yeah, when you're a kid, if you didn't get there 20 minutes before, you weren't going to get a seat. That was doable.
Dude, back to Star Wars, I stood in line for hours.
Yeah.
Golly, when Phantom Menace came out, I got in line. Me and my friend, we were both DJs on Radio Disney, and we're like, what are we doing? Like, oh, we're being our little child selves again. It's like we're standing in line for 6 hours. Like, oh my God.
I mean, there's nothing like theater nostalgia, man. When you have that fandom, it's a certain energy that just comes off of certain films, and having the fans there and certain cosplayers even, it's just amazing. Star Wars is a great one, a great example. I mean, there's nothing like it, man.
Sit there and have a conversation with people in line. I mean, that was always fun. Watch people just, whether they're cosplaying or not. And like we have this common element. Yeah. Even though you're a total stranger, we can still connect on that level, and it's like that's a hard thing. That's a dynamic that you can't really reproduce when you're at home, and unless I guess maybe if you're on a Zoom call with your friends or you're on Skype and you're like, okay, hit play on Netflix now or whatever.
Yep.
You're trying to kind of reproduce that, and it's tough.
It is.
Yeah, luckily Disney Plus has the watch along.
They do, and Netflix too, and I think
so
Hulu's about to, and then on Twitch, I think you can watch Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Amazon Prime. Yep.
So
because of the pandemic and everything, I know that usually you would be at the cons that would be happening all over the world. So unfortunately, because of the pandemic, you don't get to see the fans and everything who love you to death. But before the pandemic and all of the con adventures that you went on, what was your favorite fan experience at a con that you were at?
Golly, I think I was always touched by, and this happened multiple times, it was so cool to have people come to me like after a panel or during a signing and saying, hey, Kamina in Gurren Lagann helped me, come back from a really dark place in my life. I was really depressed, and his character and his inspiration and your performance was so good. It's like, wow, that's so cool, that I'm doing something I'm passionate about. Yeah, I get paid to do it, and I'm making my living doing something I love, but I'm touching someone's life. It's like entertainment is therapy. So it's like it almost feels like the actors are therapists in a way. We're part of a team that puts these products out there, art, and people can escape reality just for a little bit. And it's great to be able to say you're part of something that impacted people so positively. And I can hear that through social media posts and online with podcast and using things like Skype and Zoom and whatnot, to Discord. All that stuff to keep the communication lines open. But yeah.
Kyle, question. Is there any one particular moment where you really felt like the energy coming off of a certain fan or a certain situation being at a con? Since I wanted to piggyback off that. Is there a particular moment or moments that stood out to you at all?
I've had several people do marriage proposals.
Oh, wow.
They wanted, yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
They were cosplaying couples, and one of them would come up and ask me. It's like, hey, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to propose, and I want you to come out to us in the line or whatever, and just do the voice and whatnot. And then it'll erupt like that. It's like, oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I can't imagine me being a kid and having someone who voiced something I was a fan of do something that touched my life in that special way. You know, it's like, dude,
Wow.
that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet and unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Trav, got anything?
Yeah, since we're talking about all these great moments, I gotta hit it with those. What's the craziest moment that you were like, I gotta get out of here?
Well, I remember someone cosplaying as Zangief from Street Fighter, and he had like his chest hair shaved, like the triangle and all that, and he comes up to me in the autograph line, hands me a Sharpie, and says, "I want you to sign my chest." I'm like, what? Through the hair? And he's like, yes. It's like, okay, I don't think this is gonna work, and this is really awkward. But, yeah, that's how. So that happened. I mean, I know Chris Sabat had signed a baby's butt one time. I've actually signed some people, and then they turned around and got tattooed.
Tattoo? Yeah.
Yeah, I could see some people doing that.
Oh wow! I mean,
how that works?
That's flattering, but a little creepy.
Yeah.
That's like, I'd be happy with just an autograph, shake your hand, take a picture, and then move on with my life. I'm good. I don't need to embrazen my skin for the rest of my life with something like that. But hey, if they don't have any regrets about it, hats off. That's awesome, and I'm honored to be emblazoned upon your body, I guess.
I think I would do it if I had my Gohan tattoo and I came up to you and I showed it and you signed, like the bottom of my tattoo. I could see that. That's cool.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
But to have a
better.
random name scribbled on my arm,
No, but something that you've been a fan of for most of your life, yeah, and something that you would just, when you picture yourself decades from now in the old folks' home, it's like, this is when I met,
yeah.
Instead of, oh, this was a stupid part of I was in a really weird phase of my life, and I don't want anyone ever having to refer to this as a phase. I want this
Yeah.
It's like, this is life. This is where I am.
Exactly.
So then, staying on the crazy train, when Taker did Survivor Series, he did how many? 30 cameos.
Oh God, yeah, he did 30
cameos is what he did, and there were some wild cameos that people had him say. Do you have any weird cameos that people have had you say as a character?
They won't. I mean, in Cameo, you have X number of characters to type in the message that you want and who you want to say it and all that, and sometimes there's just not enough time for them to explain the context of these weird names and everything. So yeah, I'm not going to say anything, I have my disclaimers about what I won't do, and
right.
I don't want it profanity laden. I don't want to be bullying anyone or negative talk or any of that. But yeah, it's usually weird, some sort of weird name, and I'll end up having to text them through the app, just like, how do you pronounce this? I want to make sure I do this right. But yeah, that happens a lot, and then I have to just, here, do this, and it's almost like me doing a fanfic reading or something. Yeah. It's like, here, declare your love for me as Kiba from Naruto.
Oh God.
Okay, all right. So that happened.
Yeah, because I think what did Taker call somebody? Scooby Doo.
It was like all elite Scooby Doo.
All elite Scooby Doo. Rest in peace.
Weren't those at $1,000 a pop?
$1,000. I'd get $1,000 to get called Scooby Doo All Elite.
All elite.
I remember Taker came to town a few years ago, and he did a signing, and I think it was $150 a signature. And if you wanted a picture, it was also another $150. And it's like, no, too rich for my blood. I would love to meet a legend, but I just can't do it.
Wow.
I actually got to meet the Taker I saw him walking to his car after, what was it, All American Bash at the Norfolk Scope, 15 years ago. Great American.
Dude.
Great American.
Now,
Wow.
he didn't answer anybody. He had on like a
This
trench
guy.
coat thing with a hat, and he was going, but I was like, that's Taker. I know it. I know it.
That's
I
pretty
will
sick.
say that that's one of the things that I always loved about, indie wrestling is that, you could always, talk to any of the wrestlers or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's like they would just hurry up to your car. Like I know when I was a kid, like I used to wait outside of the WWE events with my brother to see if we could talk with a wrestler after the show. Like we would actually go outside during the main event to see if we could catch somebody, and they would always just walk to their cars. And I remember I always said back in 2007 when I was a young Benjamin Banks that if I ever become a professional wrestler, if a fan wants to talk to me or take a picture with me, I'm going to do it, because it's like, who knows, like this might be, this fan's one and only time coming to a wrestling show. Like they probably spent all their money to pay for a ticket. And it's like, I want to be able to give this person a good experience in the ring and outside of the ring.
Yeah. I went to a couple Raw tapings, and I was able to high five Randy Orton and Cesaro, and that's who I didn't see anyone else walking in the parking lot or anything like that, but it's like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know they're out here, and I really appreciate when the ones take the time. I know they're tired, they just want to go back and just relax or whatnot, but the ones who just take that extra second for that interaction, even if it's a high five, it's just, that's cool. That means a lot.
So I know I saw you had tweeted recently about the PlayStation 5 crisis that's going on. So with you just doing that, I take it that you still don't have a PS5.
I don't, and honestly, it's okay, because who has money during a pandemic?
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of people do, because everyone who's frustrated that they can't get it because of all these bots and all these people, scalpers and everything. It's like, can we have some laws maybe that can stop this from happening? That's just not fair. Yeah, this group in the UK that has like over 3,000 units of the PlayStation, and it's like, okay, the Sony goes, we have the best sales figures ever. It's like, how many of that sales go to people who are just going to turn around and sell it for twice as much versus the real fans, So what's a legit sales figure here?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So would you ever go to Team Xbox if you can't get a PS5?
No, I'm interested in Cyberpunk. Is Cyberpunk an exclusive?
No.
No, I think it's going to be on the Xbox as well, and PC, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I do love me some Gears of War and Halo, and they're
titles.
Yeah, and they're really solid. But honestly, there's just more available on PlayStation. So I'm not a diehard fanboy. I think there's great games on all consoles.
Yeah.
So, but I'm currently all about my PS4 and my Switch. And a PS5, it's like, honestly, none of the launch games other than Call of Duty, which I have on 4, Cold War, and I got the special edition that came with the 5 version in it. So It's like, when I upgrade,
there you go. Yep.
There's that.
If you'll ever be able to upgrade, because we don't know when we're going to be able to get a PS5.
Dude, they'll be a year from now, and you can't give them away. They'll be sitting on the shelves, and it's like, remember back in the day when no one could get their hands on it? And it's like, it's not that I want people to have a bad unit on their hands, but there are some bugs with the first wave of everything, and some people it's like, oh yeah, you put it to sleep, and then it freaks out, and it's like, oh, I'm glad I'm not putting up with that.
Yeah, exactly.
After
there are always issues.
I mean, maybe they can patch it with a software update. I don't know, but it's going to take a little while to work out the bugs. And I respect that. That's fine. And it looks like a beast. I mean, it's so huge.
Yeah, the crazy thing is the designer made a post and said that his original design was 20% larger than what we ended up getting.
Wow.
So that thing really would have been a monster.
Yeah.
That's huge. Wow.
That's what she said.
Hey.
So but Sony is really wanting to get those PC gamers over to the console side, and it's like, no, you can't pry their fingers from the keyboard. They will live and die by the PC, just like I will live and die by the console. That has always been the way I've gamed. I only made an exception with Unreal Tournament 2003 or 4, and I played it, and I loved it and everything, but it's like, no, give me a controller, man.
This is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
So I just have 2 more questions for you. I don't know if you guys have any more questions for him.
I have one more, but you can go first. I got one special one for you.
Okay, so this one is, what has been your favorite moment in your career?
Ooh, golly. Well, definitely getting to record on Dragon Ball Z that started my career, so that's always special. God, I can't narrow it down to one. Getting to have a cameo as Ryu in Wreck-It Ralph. You know, even though it's like a short cameo, I got to go to the Disney Studios, which I live like 10 minutes from, and record, and the director was geeking out over me. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Dude!
And I love Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph turned out so awesome. And I love the sequel too. And, you know, they ended up doing a Shoryuken. They paid me for usage of that, which was recorded during the cameo for the first movie. It's like there's just a quick Ryu moment, and everyone, let's go do it. Shoryuken. He's low in the mix, but he's there. It's like, I didn't even have to go in and record anything. And it's like, here, have some money. Like, okay.
Pretty dope.
So like, oh yeah, I don't have to be a big movie star or celeb to be in a Disney movie. I'll take that. That's a cool loophole that you got these makers wanting to use the original voice talent for it. It's like, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, just stuff like that. Getting to do what I love, and I have fun doing it. Where if I have a recurring role or a huge role, or mostly bit part roles, I get a lot of those. It's fun because I get to play someone else. I get to now come into my walk-in closet recording space and, you know, log in and have fun for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, 3, 4 hours, and then go out and watch TV or play games and just chill with my wife or whatnot. And it's like, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed with all that is going wrong in the world. And yeah, money is so tight. It's like everyone's just like, oh my God, how am I going to make ends meet? I'm definitely there. And but everyone can relate to this, no matter how well off they seem to be or what they've been doing in their life. This has gutted everyone, and I just hope we all get through it, and I feel like we will. It's just a rough patch now, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're gonna get there, and you know, yeah, I'm just gonna continue doing this job until I can't anymore. I want to be like Frank Welker, who's in his 60s or 70s and is still voicing a teenager. Frank, you know, and Freddy from Scooby-Doo or whatnot.
And he's still voicing Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. And on Animaniacs, he's Ralph, the security guard.
Before Banks gets to his final question, my final question is your top 3 Disney characters.
Just in general.
Yep, your top 3.
I love Chernabog, the big demon knight on Bald Mountain on Fantasia. How obscure is that?
Man.
It's like, that's 1940, and that's some evil looking stuff back then.
Yeah, Fantasia is a very interesting, I guess, special.
It's a movie. It's an experiment. It's like it's like a music video before there were videos. You know?
Yeah. I go to sleep to Fantasia all the time.
Yeah,
that's a classic. That's one.
Okay. Golly, who's another one? Who's up there? I love Buzz Lightyear.
Classic. I mean, Buzz is great. That's a great pick.
And
who's bringing it home?
Oh, God. Wow.
I was hoping he was going to say who you have on your shirt right now.
Oh yeah, no question. That's my guy, my evil Uncle Scar.
Scar is pretty awesome. I will admit. He's in the top 5, I would say.
Oh, I like that.
I love me some Tron, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Tron sweet.
both of them.
Yeah, no question. No questions. Okay. All right. All right.
So my final question is, what advice would you give to some of the inspiring people who would like to get into voice acting?
Stop, run, turn away, do something else.
Oh man.
There are easier paths to follow in life, but when you want something bad enough, you will take the good with the bad. There's a lot of tough stuff to endure. You know, your psyche and your mental state is just going to be like, man, if I get to the point where I can audition, how come they're not hiring me? Am I not good enough? It's like you have all this self-doubt, and you're spending all this money on equipment and acting lessons and maybe picking up and moving where the work is. And it's like, I want to be a voiceactor.com, and I'm doing everything that they say I should do, and it's still not working. Oh my God. At what point do I quit my day job? At what point do I do this? And everything's a personal decision, you know? I encourage people to take a chance, because even if it doesn't work out, they will learn from it, and they might go on a different path. They might pick up something that they didn't think that they were going to go into, like, oh, audio production sounds cool, or writing or directing or anything that could spiral off of that. So it's better to try, because, you know, it's an experiment, it's a lesson in life. As opposed to regret and going, man, I woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, you don't want to be having a well-paying job where you're miserable. You know, it'd be much better to have something that you don't make as much money at, but you don't feel like you're working. You're doing something that just comes hopefully naturally to you, that you feel like you've mastered a craft, and you would do what you can to stay on top of those skills. And just, you know, if it starts becoming a job, then maybe it's time to reevaluate and do something else. But I encourage anyone that has an interest in this to make that personal decision. Is this something that I'm willing to put up with all this? Because anything worth having, you're going to make sacrifice for. It's not going to get handed to you. You wouldn't appreciate it as much anyway if someone just handed you everything. You feel so much better and accomplished when you've put in the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And for every audition that I've been passed on, once I get like 1 or 2 out of 100 and get actually cast, and then I do the session, and it's like, it's totally worth it. For me, it's worth it. So it just comes down to what you want to do. Personal decision.
Words of wisdom, right there.
Nice.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on to the podcast. We all love you here. Thank you for joining the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks family. And before we let you go, tell everybody in social media land where they can find Mr. Kyle Hebert at.
All right. You can hear, let's see, the actual name is A-Bear. So it's like a bear's attacking me. So KYLEHEBERT, not Herbert. Kyle Hebert, at Kyle Hebert on Instagram and Twitter. That's where I'm most active. I have a Discord, discord.gg/Kyle Hebert. And I have a Twitch channel that I stream games and chat with fans on every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Nice.
Nice. Thank you.
I saw you thought yesterday was Sunday, and
I did.
I had to go live a little early.
Yep. I ended the stream and go, it's Saturday. What am I doing? But I had the same number of people show up anyways. So that was nice. I was like, okay. But it's like, tonight's Sunday. Okay, all right. I'm going to stream it tonight. What will I do? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Nice.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Kyle, for coming on to the podcast. We really appreciate this, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day and you have a good year.
Gohan with your own bad self. That is my Twitch channel. Gohan with your own bad self. And thank you. You guys too. Stay safe out there. We're going to get through all this, and appreciate you standing up for everything pop culture. This is awesome. It was great having me. Great to meet you guys. And hopefully we'll do it again in the future.
All right.
Peace.
Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and get notified every time we upload a new one by subscribing and ticking the bell icon. You can also listen to the full episode by searching for Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks on your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to help support more great content like this, be sure to check us out on Patreon. We'll have the link posted in the description below. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.